Welcome back. You're watching Newsx. My name is Vineet. A cargo vessel from Karachi has docked at Chittagong, marking the first ever direct maritime contact between Pakistan and Bangladesh since the Liberation War of 1971, but stirring up ripples of worry in the Indian security establishment. Such direct maritime links between India's eastern and western neighbors have the potential to create instability in the northeastern states because of its proximity to Bangladesh's southeastern coast. In fact, Syed Ahmed Maroof, the Pakistani High Commissioner in Bangladesh, who was present at the time of the docking of the cargo ship that ferried over 300 containers to Chittagong, said that this was a major step in bilateral trade, further adding that the new route will streamline supply chain, reduce transit time and open up new business opportunities for both the countries. Well, the question that arises is now, how big of a threat does this impose on India and what should be done about it? Well, we'll talk about this with our guest. Joining us on the show is Ambassador Suresh Kumar Goel, former diplomat. Joyita Basu, editor of the Sunday Guardian, joins me in the studio. Mr. Gautam Mukherjee, senior journalist, also with us on the show. Captain Sanjay Karve, former naval officer, with us on the broadcast as well. Welcome, everyone. Ambassador Goel, I'll begin with you. How do you look at this? Is this something which is also indicative of what Bangladesh is also thinking? Just the other day I read something about removing the word secularism from their constitution, and now this proximity and bonhomie towards Pakistan, a very country that India liberated them from, is obviously sending some disturbing signals. What's your take on it, sir?
At this stage, I would say the developments which are taking place in Bangladesh, they are significant from our point of view, from our strategic point of view. I will not talk about the security at this time because that will have to be seen really from a much larger angle. But I will just point out two or three elements which come to my mind. First of all, you mentioned about somebody wanting to remove the word secularism from the constitution. Now, this is actually hitting at the very idea of what Bangladesh was supposed to be. It became a secular country despite all of objections from or reservations from the Islamist element in Bangladesh at that time, and even some from the parties, the political parties there. But clearly, Sheikh Mujib and the party at that time, they wanted to really be more along the polity of India and make it a secular country. Sheikh Hasina carried on the traditions of the secularism in the country, particularly keeping in mind that there is a very significant population of Bengali Hindus. And Durga Puja has celebrated, I keep mentioning it over and over again. So in that sense, Bengali the Bangladeshi culture is very close to the culture of West Bengal, and they share many traditions together. So it should remain secular. But we will have to watch how the changes take place. But from, I think, our own security point of view, but more in terms of our own political point of view, I would say, what happened yesterday in terms of the Pakistani ship dropping anchor at the Bangladeshi port is very, very important. It opens up not only the maritime connectivity between Pakistan and Bangladesh, and we will need to really watch it very carefully. The security dimension of it will need to be seen in future as to what kind of cargo is carried and who the personnel, whether it actually becomes a route on the Navy connectivity. But what comes to mind immediately also is that so far the Chinese project of BRI was touching the Chittagong port and then the Gwadar port in Pakistan. If you have maritime traffic between Gwadar port and Chittagong, the encirclement of the southern flank of India is more or less complete. So unless we are able to keep a watch over it actively and take measures in time to ensure that it does not become a security risk to India, we are in for some kind of serious issues, I would say. Not a threat at the moment, but concern.
All right, Joyita. In fact, it was the Attorney General Mohammad Asazman who said that there is a danger to Bangladesh as long as the words secularism and socialism are principles that are enshrined in the constitution. What is this taking us towards? What kind of a subcontinent are we in fact looking at if Bangladesh is going to cozy up to Pakistan? We already are dealing with China and Pakistan on one hand. We really don't want Bangladesh to antagonize us.
Well, when you are looking at Bangladesh in particular, it is what they are doing right now. They are on reverse gear. It's almost like they want to go back to a pre-71 situation. Because you see what is happening, most of the people who are in power today or who are close to power, they are all deriving their source of influence from basically people who are the Razakars. Now, who were the Razakars? They were the people who were, they were the basically the extremists who were carrying out Pakistan's order in Bangladesh. Apart from that, they were the collaborators. And ever since after the Mukti Juddho and that liberation of Bangladesh, the Razakars were the most hated section of the population, but gradually over the years, but they were also the most radical section of the population. Now, what happened over there is that now these are the, as it happened, the US, primarily the Biden administration specifically, I would say, perhaps under the influence of Islamists who are very close to the administration. I mean, it is still in place, of course, and under that influence, under the Muslim Brotherhood kind of influence, they allowed, they actually, I would say, instigated, they kind of pushed these Razakars, in the form of Jamaat and all. They are all Razakars, they were all Pakistani collaborators, and many of them were actually hanged and punished, criminal punishment they felt because of their association with Pakistan. So, all these people, because of this global Ummah influence that came in, and US basically, I would say, backed by the US, now these people have come to decide policy in Dhaka right now. This is also one of the primary reasons why Pakistan is finding some sort of not finding, I mean, the doors are open for Pakistan. All these groups are closely aligned to the ISI. So, that is why I am saying it is a reversal that is taking place. They are going back to a pre-1971 situation. There is talk about how Urdu should again become their language. I mean, the national anthem should have words from the Quran and all these things. So, all these extremists and radicals
turning into a theocracy.
They are turning it into a theocracy, and you see, everything is part of that wider shift in Bangladeshi society that is taking place. Whether we should be worried, of course we should be. We have a porous border with Bangladesh. Look at West Bengal and Bangladesh, there is hardly a border, there is a river. It is a riverine border. Look at what is happening in Assam. Assam's demography is changing. So, I mean, after they say by 2050, the population of Assam is going to be totally in the favor of the Mia Muslims, basically the Bangladeshi Muslims who come in. So, yes, of course, we should be worried, because you see, infiltration is rampant, and all these, these people will be coming in, and anyway their economic condition is also going down. So yes, of course, we have to be very, very worried about this.
Gautam, Bangladesh has or had made, if I can say that, made considerable progress when it come, or rather when it came to their economy. Even in terms of the size and the density of population, Bangladesh was doing extremely well. Even before the last government's exit, they were cozying up to China and making strides in the right direction. Do you think all of that, if not halted, will slow down as a result of this infusion of the Islamic tenets into their constitution and their way of doing business, especially with India?
One part of it, Vineet, is Pakistan, and the second part is Big Brother China. China's been eyeing military facilities and ports in Bangladesh, and Pakistan is the cat's paw. The Islamic part of it is, of course, easy now because it is the revolution caused by the Islamists rather than the political parties, and as a consequence, they are the, if you like, the advance guard. In terms of transformation of Bangladesh into a Sharia Islamic state, I think that will continue apace. There is nothing to stop it. Their economy, however, is going to take a big beating. Now, whether it can be rescued as a stage 2 by China, which would be interested in the Pakistani ports in particular, remains to be seen, but I think it is a foregone conclusion. China has restrictions of being on the Pacific. Gwadar has not really worked out. Pakistan state is acting right now. Sure, when a Pakistani ship comes, that is the Pakistani state and not the Islamists per se, but behind them will come the Chinese. As far as India is concerned, the encirclement is more or less complete now. But having said that, we are far from sitting ducks. Our shipping industry is improving. Our submarines are improving. Our aircraft carriers, frigates, our navy, both air navy as well as surface navy, is improving. Our relationship with the Quad is going to bolster and act as a force multiplier. As far as India is concerned, we have nothing much to worry. It is something that was inevitable when Bangladesh fell, and it is progressing along the lines expected. Having said that, one thing in our favor is our economy is doing well. Our backup, the US, is also doing better than before. In fact, quite well as Trump takes over. And Europe will have to do, in any case, Trump's bidding. The Indian Ocean is a very important place for the Western powers as much as it is for India and, of course, China. And the Bay of Bengal is also very much affected in terms of international, if you like, Western alliance security, of which we are a part, if not an ally, certainly a strategic partner. So in all of this, we will not be, all that badly affected, in my opinion. But we will have to buck up our game along with our friends such as they are. Vineet.
Well, yes, you're absolutely right. The encirclement, the perimeter that perhaps Pakistan was hoping for is complete now. Captain Sanjay Karve, your extracts from where is this going to lead up to? Also, let's bring in this perspective that Donald Trump is going to be back in the saddle. He's already flashed that Bangladesh needs to take better care of its Hindus, and Donald Trump was obviously extremely peeved with Pakistan when he was the president in his earlier stint. Keeping all of these pointers in mind, what's the conclusion that you would like to draw, sir?
Beneath, at the outset, let us wait for Mr. Trump to take power, because as you would appreciate and agree, that in international politics, there are no permanent friends and no permanent enemies, only permanent national interests. So once Mr. Trump assumes the chair of POTUS, one really doesn't know how he is going to react when it comes to his own national interests. He is gone a sizable population of who follow Islam, so it is not going to be easy for him to straight away boycott Islamic nations. As far as encirclement of India is concerned, yes, it is a cause for worry. The greater cause for worry is China getting a footprint in Bangladesh along with Pakistan. One major problem which China has operating its air force from Tibet is low payload, which it can actually offset by using its assets from Bangladesh. What is interesting is Pakistan and Bangladesh have agreed to have a trade by a shipping route which is 4,000 nautical miles plus, which takes 15 days of travel. Now, 15 days of travel, you can imagine that means the Indian Navy has to up its game, especially in the Bay of Bengal, to monitor as to what is the actual cargo that is being transshipped. In international waters, it is really not feasible to stop each and every ship and check a cargo unless and until you have 100% authentic hint. And this would not be liked by any other nation, however friendly it may be to us. Second aspect is we are the second trading partner for Bangladesh after China. Pakistan is probably looking at displacing India, and so is Bangladesh also looking at displacing India from its most favored nation for exports and imports. Pakistan and Bangladesh are in the final stages of the FTA tag. Now, if the FTA comes through, obviously trade is going to be easier between these two nations. And what Bangladesh is importing from India, it can easily import from Pakistan. What it is importing is basically raw cotton, finished cotton. What it cannot get from Pakistan is refined petroleum. But I'm sure Pakistan, with its contacts in the Middle East, will act as a facilitator to provide the same to Bangladesh. Another aspect which is worrisome is the shipping lane, the international shipping lane can continue to be just outside India's EEZ and continue right up to Bangladesh. Entering Chittagong Fort, you have easy access to Northeast India, you have easy access to West Bengal, as was pointed out by one of the previous panelists, which is a cause for concern since we have no borders and we have infiltration taking place practically every other day. In addition to that, what is worrisome is your Andaman and Nicobar Islands, which would also be close to the shipping lane, to the east of the shipping lane. So the Indian Navy and the Coast Guard are going to have a greater task on their hand safeguarding the Bay of the Bengal. As far as trade is going to be concerned, India is going to get hit with the trade from Bangladesh being looked after by Pakistan.
All right, sir.
And
All right, sir.
China.
And we have a paucity of time. Ambassador Goyal, do you think that India will also have to tweak its formula that it's been using with Bangladesh and for Bangladesh in the coming days? Or do you think that process is already underway and, the current scenario necessitates it?
Vinit, let us put it this way, the changes which are now taking place in Bangladesh, we need to see how far do the changes go, or do they continue on in the same manner, in the same direction as they have now taken place, simply because there is a sense that changes took place basically, or the regime change took place at the behest of the powers that be in the United States, and that has not changed. And it is quite clear that the USA, in fact, it was said so much by the American side, that while Bangladesh is important to the USA, it is not the foremost concern for Trump at the moment. But it's very clear that Yunus's, let us say, status or the situation will have a lot to do with how far the Americans can go, or how far the USA can go. And if the USA support stops its political encouragement to Yunus, Yunus will have a difficult time facing both the Islamists as well as the army. So what I'm seeing further is rather to make the stands in Bangladesh, where there would be actually a tussle for power and who remains in the government. So I think we need to wait and watch and see which way it goes. And if we see that the change in government is actually becoming from bad to worse, then we need to really see, but to try and see how we can control or how we can safeguard our own interests, both in the Bay of Bengal and vis-a-vis Pakistan and China. That's what I'm opinion.
All right, Joyita, what becomes of the Pakistani economy now is it going to in fact improve now that they have, liaised, for a lack of a better word, with the Bangladesh? And is Bangladesh economy going to worsen? Because obviously, you are as good as the company you keep. Now they are also in fact, using Pakistan here.
You see, I personally think trade is the last thing that we should be concerned about. Fine, let Bangladesh go ahead and trade with Pakistan. Think of the logistics. Think of the delivery time that is needed. 2 to 3 weeks it will be taking. Pakistan will be taking to transfer the goods which are not even available in their country. So, what are they going to basically sell to Bangladesh? Number one. Number two, think of the time that will be taken, the fuel that will be consumed in terms of logistical cost. Whatever, say a kilo of maybe a bottle of coconut oil will cost Bangladesh 20 rupees if bought from India, and that will cost them 300 rupees if bought from Pakistan. So, it makes no business sense whatsoever for Bangladesh to establish trade links with Pakistan. That does not work. We should not be worried about that at all. Number two, in terms of Bangladesh's economy, what has kept Bangladesh economy going? The power situation that India has provided ensured that textile industry is dependent on largely power that we have been providing. They are not being able to pay the bills, as a result of which what is happening is that part has started sputtering. Textile, how is their industry going? The textile is largely going from India. So, what you look at Bangladesh, it is India that is propping it up. Even in terms of, Bangladesh is one of the LDCs, that low developing country, or that LDC category. But just because they are saying our economy is doing better, they will be taken out of that LDC category. Now, the minute they come out of LDC status, what happens? Everything increases in terms of they have to pay more. They will not get the benefits that they get to improve their economy as an LDC. So, they were desperate, so that they did not want to come out of that LDC status, and they wanted India's help. In fact, India was helping them, so that they did not have to come out of that LDC status. So, when you are looking at that, Bangladesh is a big loser. It is a net loser totally. My only concern is that, I am going to again repeat the concern, because Bangladesh's economy is, they are totally broke. They are on their way to become completely broke. A country that is surrounded on 3 sides by a giant like India, economic and military powerhouse like India, do you think they can survive even 1 month without, if India kind of decides that not to back Bangladesh even for 1 second? They cannot. This is they will be hitting, they will realize this soon enough. In fact, they have already started realizing. If you start following on YouTube in particular the TV grabs that are coming from Bangladesh and all, what is their biggest concern now? Price escalation. Inflation is going haywire. It's finishing Bangladesh. There are unrest has already started because inflation is killing people. So, you see, all those things, Bangladesh is a basket case, but the problem is that infiltration is the biggest problem for us, and that is the only problem. Pakistan and all we can take care. How many ships does Pakistan have to send goods to Bangladesh? What can Pakistan do to India in the Bay of Bengal of all places? Zero. But the thing is that is our sole concern, Bangladesh going bankrupt and falling apart.
All right, we've run out of time. Appreciate everybody who joined us and gave their perspective on this very sensitive and important and rather even urgent matter for India. We take a short break. Be right back.